I want to ask, I'm pretty sure most of us have had a coffee before. Sometimes we can't actually survive without coffee. Some people first thing in the morning, they must have a coffee. Now when we think of coffee, what do we think of? If I were to say, for example, pizza, what would you think of? Which country would you think of? Italy. If I was to say sushi, what would you think of? Japan. So there are certain things that you associate with certain things. Now if I were to say coffee, what would we think of? Brazil. Some people might think of Colombia. Some people think of Italy. However, I just want to look a little bit first at the history of coffee. Coffee itself, the word actually comes from Arabic. In Arabic, the words call this drink qahwa. Qahwa is the drink that comes out from the bun, from the coffee bean. So they call this thing qahwa. Now qahwa, it comes from the verb qahiya, which means to lose one's appetite. Because the Arabs knew that when you drink a lot of coffee, khalas, you don't want to eat any more after this. So they would usually have it after their meals. Now the word qahwa, it spread from Yemen to the rest of Arabia until it went to the Ottoman Empire. Because the Arabs were the first ones to drink coffee. And the Ottomans really revolutionized coffee. I mean, Arabs like coffee. Ottomans and the Turks loved coffee. You'd find that they couldn't survive without coffee. This was every single Ottoman would be drinking it, to the point that many of the scholars of the Ottoman Empire, they stipulated that, of course, as we know as Muslims, a man has to spend on his wife. He has to supply her with a house, with food, with clothing. Otherwise, if he can't do this, it's grounds for divorce. Now, the Ottoman fuqaha also specified that he must give her enough coffee. Otherwise, it was enough to call for a divorce. So the Ottomans loved their coffee. However, the Ottomans, as most of us know, as the Turks today, they can't pronounce the letter waw. Instead of waw, they say it like v. You've heard Ottomans, you've heard Turks when they say, for example, wallah. What do they say? They say wallah. So you see the waw turns into a v. This is common in their speech. So the word qahwa, they couldn't say qahwa. So they started to call it kahva. Now, kahva, when it began to spread, when the Ottoman Empire was attacking a lot of the nations of Europe, there was a specific time. It was actually the last instance of offensive jihad in our ummah. This was the last time in the history of our ummah that the Muslims made an offensive jihad. When the Ottomans were attacking Austria. So they were attacking Austria and Poland, who were united at that time. Now they were defeated in this battle. It was called the Second Siege on Vienna. And so when they were defeated, as you know, when you leave the battlefield, you leave behind all of your things, the ghanima, your weapons, your treasures. And part of their ghanima, of course, was their coffee. Because even the Ottoman army, everywhere they went, they had coffee and people to make their coffee. So they left behind their bags of coffee, and the Austrians and the Polish first, for the first time, discovered this new drink. So they asked many of the Turkish soldiers, what is this drink? So they said, this is called kahva. And so eventually it got the name kava. And then from the name kava, it turned into kaffa, then into caffe. So you'd see that this drink was a Muslim drink. You see that this drink was a Muslim drink. For a long time, the Pope forbade Christians from drinking this. The Pope, he gave like a fatwa, and he said Christians are not allowed to drink coffee. It is haram for them. Until a while later, one of the later popes, he decided to reverse this decision. He got a bag of coffee and he baptized it in the church. So he said now coffee is a Christian drink. Now this story, the reason why I mentioned this is, as I said, when we start to introduce history, I like to suggest that we know nothing. Every day we drink coffee. Most of us won't even know about this. It's Islamic history. When there was a point that just drinking coffee could get you thrown out of the Catholic Church. You'd be accused of being a Muslim. Nowadays, everyone drinks coffee, but very, very few people know about this history.
There's a lot of research actually that's been coming out on coffee, and coffee is one of the most popular beverages around the world today. One of the biggest reasons why coffee is beneficial is because it contains massive amounts of antioxidants. And one of the things that we're exposed to all around the world today is large levels of toxicity And so antioxidants can really help in slow the aging process. They can help protect your cells against free radical damage. And coffee is actually one of the 5 highest foods in antioxidants in the world today. So again, coffee, incredible in terms of its antioxidants. Also, coffee increases circulation and can stimulate the liver. So it can actually has maybe some supportive benefits for the liver, increases circulation. It's been shown to improve overall exercise. It's been shown to increase blood flow to the brain. So for those reasons, because of the massive amount of antioxidants and the increase in circulation, that's where the benefits of coffee come from.
Man, I love coffee. It tastes so good, it makes me feel good. But is it good for me? Huh. Hey, Jess, you're basically a scientist. Is coffee good for me?
Well, Joe, you're about to find out, because we're going to science the shit out of it.
Nice. Let me tell you what's happening in my brain before I drink coffee.
Okay.
Life sucks. What's my middle name, shoe size, last name? Oh my God, I want some coffee. I start drinking and I'm like, yeah.
Caffeine is the most popular psychoactive drug in the world, and the way most people get it is through coffee. When you drink the coffee, the caffeine actually hijacks your brain. There are receptors in your brain meant for a chemical called adenosine. And adenosine is what actually makes you feel tired. But when you drink caffeine, the caffeine takes control of those receptors and doesn't leave any room for the adenosine, and that's why you feel alert. So how many cups do you drink during the day?
Let's see. I would say on average, probably like between 5 and 8.
You should be drinking no more than 400 milligrams.
Which is what,
That.
400 cups?
No, like depending on, because each cup is different in terms of how much caffeine is in it.
Okay. Wait, I'm
But-
sorry, 400 milligrams of caffeine.
The FDA recommends no more than 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. There's about 142 milligrams of caffeine in this 12 fluid ounce coffee mug. So that's about 3 mugs a day.
Okay, but so what if I have more than that? One thing that I'm always worried about when drinking coffee, because lots of times I'll be drinking and I'll feel like my heart like just going like super fast, and I automatically think, oh my God, I'm gonna die from drinking coffee. Is it possible that I could actually drink so much coffee that I die? And how can I find out how much will kill me, and so I can drink just a little bit less?
So it's not necessarily drinking too much coffee that's going to kill you, it's the caffeine in the coffee that's going to kill you. There was a study that showed that if you drank 12 highly caffeinated energy drinks within a few hours, you would most likely die. So Joe, is that coffee filtered?
It is.
That's actually healthier for you.
Haha, yeah!
Coffee contains over 1,000 compounds. Some of those compounds are healthy antioxidants, but there's something else in coffee that, according to one study, can actually raise your cholesterol levels. But if you drink filtered coffee, the filtering process actually prevents those cholesterol-raising compounds from reaching your cup.
According to something I read online, caffeine affects your sleep, and you need a good like 5 hours to get it out of your system.
It should be more like 6 hours, because the half-life of caffeine is about 6 hours. So it'll take 6 hours for your body to metabolize 50% of the caffeine in there. So basically then that means if you have a cup of coffee at 8 a.m., you're still gonna have 25% of the caffeine that was in that coffee in your system by 8 p.m.
So for the average viewer who's watching this and probably drinks coffee, but not as much coffee as I drink, is coffee good for you or not?
The overall consensus is yes.
Aha!
According to the latest scientific research, coffee can reduce your risk of certain cancers like liver and uterine cancer,
Nice.
and reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease,
Nice.
type 2 diabetes,
Nice.
and possibly reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease.
Nice.
And so, yeah, overall coffee is relatively good for you.
Hell yeah. Cancer-free, sharp brain, plenty of energy, terrible breath. Sorry, by the way. We didn't know we were gonna stand this close. So conclusion, coffee is the shit.
You should probably stop drinking when you get older, because drinking coffee within the first hour, it can actually raise your blood pressure.
Like in the day.
Within the first hour of drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna do that.